Hello and welcome to White Horse Music TV. My name is Richard Budina and I'm co-owner of this, I'm not paralysed like this, I'm co-owner of this wonderful shop with my wonderful wife Michelle Budina, who's not behind the camera today, she's at home. The camera is on a tripod thing today, which is definitely not my wife. So today I am going to be showing Jennifer some cellos. So Jennifer is a beginner cellist, and we actually set up a Zoom meeting to talk about cellos, and so I could show her similar to what I'm doing now, except when I went to play the actual cello, no sound came out. Now there was sound coming out of the cello, but there was no sound coming out at her end. I'm not a very techie person, so I'm not sure what that's about. Probably someone in the comments can tell me. So I instead am going to do a bit of a video for her demonstrating some sort of beginnerish cellos. So I'll show you first of all what they look like. And we're going to get some input from Jennifer's daughter as well. Eva is 7 months old and she had decided to wake up when we were doing the Zoom call, and so she was giving input. I couldn't quite understand what she was saying, but there was a fair bit of input. So this first cello is a Paganini 500 cello, and you can see my beautiful bridge there. I make the bridges on all of our cellos, and I spent a few hours on it actually, making all the parts, the sound post inside, and choosing the strings, and installing better bits, and planing the fingerboard. I went a little bit crazy. So it's quite matte finish looking. It's quite a pretty cello actually. And this is one that we've decided is our sort of starting beginner cello recently. We've gone through lots of different ones over the years. Had the shop for almost 22 years now. And as our base entry model cello, we've had all sorts of different ones. And this is my pick of the bunch at the moment, the Paganini 500. The good things about it is they usually sound great, so that's really important. Nice and deep and strong. They got ebony parts, like the fingerboard's ebony, the pegs ebony, and I mean that's sort of non-negotiable. A lot of beginner cellos will have other type of wood which is painted black to look like ebony, but ebony is sort of like strong and good, well wearing, and so you're not going to wear through to white wood after a period of time, so that's good. And also another thing is the varnish is quite tough. I've had other cellos in this range where you knock it a little bit and you have a pretty nasty little scratch on your cello, where the Paganinis tend not to do that quite as much. And in fact, the other cellos that I'm going to show today are good like that as well. So this is Paganini 500. Now I will grab Struna Classroom. So this is the next one. So Struna Classroom is from a smaller workshop. They I'll put them right next to each other so you can see the Struna Classroom is a little bit shinier. It's more antique-y looking. See how there's wear there? Wear to the flanks to sort of simulate a more, an older cello. And then this is a bit of a workout actually. And then on the back, there you go, the Struna Classroom cello. Moderately flamed, I would say, and but just beautiful hand work as well on the Struna. I'll put down the Paganini. It's a lot easier with violins showing you this way. And there you go, my wonderful bridge. And it's had all of the same work done to it. So that's cello number 2. And then cello number 3 also carries the Paganini name. So this is a Paganini Vintage. And you can see it's much more antiqued when I get up close like that. Maybe down this side you'll see more. Yeah, more antiqued than the Paganini 500, that's for sure, because the Paganini 500 is not antiqued, and a little bit more antique than the Struna Classroom even. It's got more of the sort of sheen of the Struna Classroom, and but it's a more deep reddish sort of varnish, so pretty tasty looking. So I will play them in order. So first of all I'll play the Paganini 500. Sounds like a car race. There's a car race called the 500, isn't there? Although don't race with your Paganini 500. It's the start of the Paganini 500. Let's go. All right, so I'll play this one first. Quite nice. It's deep and strong, and it's got bright crispiness to it. It's like biting into a crispy chip. It doesn't taste quite as good, but it's definitely sounds better than a chip. Okay, that's beautiful. It rings nicely. See, this is why I've chosen that one as a, starting one. Yeah, really tasty. So now I'll play the Struna Classroom. So the Strunas, as I said, from a smaller workshop, and they use old Russian spruce, and it makes it sound different, and they also look pretty tasty as well. So I'll give it a play. So I would say it's sort of like a more rounded sort of sound. It's less bright and crispy. It's not like eating a packet of chips. It's it's definitely a more rounded sound, especially on the top strings. It's more rounded. It's sort of like a good balance between sort of relaxed, mellow sound and bright sound. It's sort of in the middle, I would say. Okay, so I'll grab the Paganini Vintage. Both of those, they come with a bag and a bow, and often people will upgrade to a case instead of the bag. But this one, the Paganini Vintage, often when cellos get up to a certain level in particular brands, the makers of them say, well, that person, because they're playing a fancier cello, aren't going to want any old bag and bow that happens to come with the cello, so we're not going to supply either. And so with this one, it just comes to cello by itself. So this is the Paganini Vintage. I'll give this a try. So I would say that is sort of in between those other two as far as, mellowness versus brightness goes. It's more tending towards the sound of the Struna Classroom. It's definitely got more broad evenness. It's even and broad like the Struna Classroom, but it's maybe got a tiny bit more of the crunchiness of the Paganini 500. It's also a very open sound, I would say. What I'll do is I'll play each of those cellos, and Jennifer and Eva, especially Eva, can listen very, very closely, and I won't say anything in between, and so you'll be able to hear the cellos immediately after each other. All right. Yeah, I'll play more of that Bach one. Okay, that was the Paganini 500. Now the Struna Classroom. Okay, that's the Struna. And now for the Paganini Vintage. So I would say definitely what I said before. This is a little bit, it's slightly more open sounding than the others, and the Struna maybe is the most round sounding one, and the Paganini 500 is definitely the brightest sounding one. So as usual, I would recommend Jennifer to buy all three of them, because then you definitely get the right one. But yeah, if you could put down in the comments down below, tell Jennifer which one she should get, and she probably will choose what you choose. Thanks for watching. Bye.